Last time when it was all one take, so be happy.
Welcome back to another episode of Branching Out with F&M Bank. I'm your host, Mary Pavlovskaya, and today I'm joined by Revlan Hill, Executive Director of the Harrisonburg Community Foundation. Welcome, Revlan.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you here today, and I'm so excited to learn all about the Community Foundation and what it is that you guys do. So, at a 3,000 level view, tell me what you do.
Well, I tell you, we do all things charitable giving. So we work with individuals, families, businesses, groups of people who are charitably inclined. Perhaps they have been very successful and they have a dream of giving back to the community. Perhaps they want to help a student attend college. Perhaps they just want to make their charitable giving a little bit easier and we just manage it for them. So all things charitable giving. It could be short term, Mary, or it could be a way of giving a gift, particularly with an estate plan that lasts forever. We specialize in endowed funds. We invest those dollars and then we work with the donor to set a plan in place to give to their favorite charities after they're gone. So all things charitable giving is the work of the Community Foundation.
That's great to know, Revlan. So if a community member finds themselves in a place where they want to donate to your foundation, or perhaps a business wants to donate, is there a particular order that they have to work in order to get those funds? So if I want to donate to a specific organization, but I don't want to have to go through all that work, how does that work with a foundation? I
mean, usually we have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 meetings, and we learn about what's important to the donor and what it is that they're trying to accomplish and how will we get there. And then, Mary, we always have a plan B because, you know, let's say that an estate gift is coming to the Community Foundation for their favorite charity. And what if 20 years from now that charity stops existing and goes out of business? Then what do we do with those charitable dollars? So we always have a really good plan, and then we have a plan B because you never know what's going to happen in the community. There are new nonprofits coming, nonprofits merge, and some nonprofits do go out of business, and maybe that's a good thing actually, right? The problem was solved. So we have plan A and we document that so that those who follow the current staff of the Community Foundation know exactly how those charitable dollars are supposed to be managed.
Oh, wonderful. So I see the side of you that works with the charitable foundations or anyone who wants to donate. Well, what about on the flip side of those who actually receive the funds? So the nonprofits or any kind of organization, how do you partner with them?
Well, we do a lot of different things for the actual nonprofit organizations here in town. For instance, each year we have a giving guide. It's called a community needs process with the nonprofits, and they let us know what are their needs, what are their most pressing needs, and we promote those needs to all the fund holders here at the Community Foundation, and we actually publish it in the Daily News Record here locally and try to get as much funding out to those nonprofits for those needs as we possibly can. So that's one of the things that we do. We also have the Excellence in Nonprofit Leadership program. So we're bringing subjects to we have workshops based on subjects that the nonprofits have said that they want to be better at, to learn more about. And so that's the Excellence in Nonprofit Leadership that's funded by one of our fund holders here. And then we have the Great Community Give as well. That's a day of charitable giving that we all can join and raise money for our nonprofits here in the community. So, and then, you know, as we're meeting with donors one-on-one, we represent all the nonprofits because, you know, folks come and say, you know, what are the most pressing needs in case they don't know what's going on in the nonprofit world. You know, it's never, we try not to say, we want you to give your money to this organization. Really what we try to figure out is, if something happens to you and you have to decide where your charitable dollars go, what will make you the happiest? You know, because it's your funding that you've worked hard for, and we try to come up with a plan that you know makes the donor really excited and pleased to be part of.
Sounds like you look more for what cause or, you know, what's really touching to their heart that you want to help support, and there may be multiple organizations that can support that. So going with a nonprofit organization that may be new or is starting up and they want to find a way to get in front of these donors, how do they get in touch with you? What kind of steps do they need to take?
Well, they definitely want to take advantage of the community needs process with that giving guide. That's always a good step. And then we just say, put us on your mailing list so we know what's going on in your organization. So we try to keep up. I mean, it's a challenge. There's a lot of nonprofits in the community, but the whole staff is trying to keep up with what all the organizations are doing, of course. I mean, we can't go to every function of every nonprofit. That's too tall of an order, but we do our best to stay informed on what's happening in the nonprofit world.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, you sound like you have a very busy schedule with keeping up with a lot of things, and I know you have a lot of great partners within your organization, but I am curious as what does the day in the life look like of an executive director at the Community Foundation?
A day in the life. Well, I'd be known to take out the trash. But I mean, we represent the most generous individuals, honestly. And I mean, the whole staff, we have a great staff here. There are 5 of us. We count it a privilege to work on behalf of all the donors, whether we're representing someone who is living or someone who has passed away. And it might be that I'm meeting with someone who is updating their will and they want to make sure that we have their most recent wishes on file. So that might be a meeting, for instance. Or, earlier this week I got a call about someone who had passed away and we're working at getting that particular fund started on their behalf. Or it might be that, our current living donors, they have suggested that we send out grants. We call them grants. So money that goes out is called a grant. So they might say, well, these 10 organizations, I want to send, 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever the amount it is out to them that week. So, it's working on knowing what donors want to do and then actually facilitating those charitable gifts each and every week. And, there is an approval process because, I mean, we have to make sure that charitable dollars actually go to charity who are working. And sometimes we have donors who want to send money outside this community. So we do that. But we have to make sure that they are a legitimate 501c3 organization recognized by the IRS. We take a quick look at their 990, so that's their tax return, and we familiarize ourselves with that charitable organization before we approve sending that grant out. So, we do a fair amount of research on behalf of our fund holders, and to make sure that we're protecting them as well as the work of the Community Foundation, and the charitable dollars, which are charitable dollars are hard to come by, and you want to manage them properly. So. All things charitable is really a good summary. The day in the life, moving money in, moving money out. Just collecting money, there's no benefit from that. It's where the money goes that makes the difference. And so each year we send between $5 and $8 million out to charitable organizations, mostly here in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County, some outside the area, of course. But it's really our honor to represent the donors of Harrisonburg and Rockingham County, and we're certainly privileged to do so.
Well, that's wonderful. It's good to hear from your perspective, specifically as the executive director, of how much impact it has in the community. And over the years that you've worked here and you've kind of had that opportunity, how have you seen it impact just the Harrisonburg location or within our footprint?
Well, I've seen a lot of organizations really take off from a fledgling organization to really doing some marvelous things in our community. I've seen organizations who have stopped existing because what they've done, they have succeeded in solving a problem. So I've seen both sides of that. But by and large, there are folks in our community who need help. They need food, they need shelter, they need mental health services. Or, let's not leave out the arts organizations and the historical and cultural organizations, the parks. We do a fair amount of granting to organizations who you might not even think of as charitable. And it's a little bit unusual, but we can give funding to things that make our community better, I'll say. For instance, we worked with a group of people who wanted to build a dog park. And so that money, we raised the money, this group of individuals raised the money, it funneled through the Community Foundation, and the money went to the city, who paid the bills for the dog park. The same thing with the farmers market behind this building. A group of community members raised the money, and we sent the money to the city, because we can legally do that, and the money built the farmers market. And so there are some community initiatives that we've been a part of. It's been wonderful to be play a small role. We don't raise the money, but we do help facilitate giving the money. And one of the other things that we've done that I hate to use the word proud because I think a touch of humility is really a good thing, but I'm really glad that the work that we've done with private foundations in our community. So a private foundation is a little bit similar to a community foundation in that we're managing charitable dollars, but usually a private foundation has one main donor, or a donor family, if you will. And we've had 2 private foundations who have transferred their assets to this community foundation because they understand the oversight that we have in place for those funds, and for the longevity of the foundation. We're always going to be here. We have a lot of checks and balances. We have someone looking over our shoulders. We're being audited each and every year. We're a certified community foundation. And those private foundations, what I'm really pleased about is those assets stay here in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. And they're going to benefit, for the most part, this community. And those private foundations could have went somewhere else. Really, they could have, if the donor family would have moved to, Arkansas or Florida or California, chances are we would have lost some of those charitable dollars this community would have. So we're always extremely pleased to work with individuals and families and corporations like you all, but we're also really pleased to work with private foundations as well. So we've had 2 private foundation transfers, and we're working on behalf of a couple more, and in order to keep those charitable dollars here so that our community can be all that it can possibly be for all of us.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a great story to hear that.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled. Yeah, we do a lot, but I tell you, I think the key really is we live in an extremely generous community. So that's key. We have an incredible board, I'm blessed with a fabulous staff, great colleagues, and then we have a special relationship with the professional advisors in this community. So when I say that, I'm talking CPAs, wealth managers, and attorneys. They're meeting with clients every day who are working on what to do with their wealth, who do they trust, and many of them send their clients here because they understand the value of the community foundation, and they have the professional advisors and the staff and the board and folks like you all have been part of that success. We would not flourish if not for our partners, and we thank you all for that.
Oh, well, it's wonderful to work with you as well. and it's good to see how responsible, from the perspective of you're helping the community, and I had no idea about the farmers market that you were involved in that, but being able to put that to something tangible, but also know how responsible you are with looking into making sure the funds are going to good sources and legitimate sources, and that's extremely important. So absolutely. That's wonderful to hear. But I really appreciate you sitting down with me, Revlan. I've loved hearing all about the Community Foundation, and I look forward to talking again soon.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Branching Out with F&M Bank.